You've never been this far away from home. That don't matter. What matters is what you leave in that ring and what you take back with you. Just go get the chicken. It's not that big a deal.
Come here.
Oh, oh my God.
The last film of the bunch is Creed, which I may refer to as Rocky7 sometimes. It's the only one not written and directed by Sylvester Stallone. At the start of the film you can tell that the direction's very different. You're at a juvenile detention centre with Apollo Creed's son there. So Adonis Johnson is the kid who's meant to be Apollo Creed's son from like an affair sort of thing. So he didn't know his father at all. Like, Apollo Creed had died before Adonis got to know him. So he's the main character of this movie. Rocky's kind of popping in. He pops up halfway through the movie, I think, and then you get into Rocky's life and you realise it is a kind of Rocky film still. Adonis starts off at a very Spartan-looking Mexican fight club. He's doing a lot of Apollo mannerisms in the way he moves and the way he goes, like he breathes through his gum protector thing in a way that Apollo does. I appreciate that when kind of actors study mannerisms of people who they're meant to be linked to or slightly copying in films. That's cool. They go to Apollo Creed's old mansion from the third film, the one with the pool. He hangs out with Apollo's wife, who's not his mother. She takes him on out of the juvenile detention centre because she wants him to make a life for himself that isn't the boxing life. But he goes back into boxing, and she's kind of sad about it. This film's directed in 2016, but it might be set at an earlier point. At one point, Adonis is sitting in his dad's projector room watching like fake YouTube videos where the upload date has been doctored to say 2005. So Adonis goes to his dad's old boxing training ring in LA and sees one of the trainers there, and he's like, "Your daddy died in the ring." And Adonis is like, "Ain't nothing to do with me. I don't know anything about him." And it's like, well, why did you just show up at his specific boxing ring then? He gets knocked out at one point, and there's this kind of bloodshot eye injury makeup effect, which is really nasty. I don't know if it's realistic, but it really stands out. In the last movie, Paulie states that Rocky's statue has been knocked down at the Philadelphia steps. But in this movie it cuts to Rocky's statue. It's in Philadelphia, but it seems to be moved somewhere else. So I don't know if that's a continuity error or if it got rebuilt. Maybe it's a new one that got rebuilt after his last fight. They go back to Adrian's restaurant from the last film. So they're still doing callbacks, and it is still defining itself as a Rocky film because it is calling back to so many things from the Rocky series so far. I thought it'd be more of a standalone film, but it turns out it's still being one of the series. In this one, Rocky is even less like himself, I think, his kind of dumb self. He's more grown up and matured, and it does seem more like Sylvester Stallone acting as Sylvester Stallone.
He's my father.
Why would you want to pick a fighter's life when you don't have to? If Apollo was around, he would tell you that too.
Well, he ain't around.
I was in the ring. I saw how it went down. That fight should have been stopped. I should have stopped it.
He's even older than he was in the last one, and they do kind of play on, right, this isn't the Rocky we know, this is an old man now, he's far from being in a boxing match himself. The contender in this film is a Liverpudlian Scouser guy, and I never thought I'd see shots of Liverpool in a Rocky film, but they did it. Can't remember the guy's name. It's something like Pretty Boy.
Pretty Ricky Conlon.
At one point Adonis I don't like the glossy bullshit, but he watches like an HBO show on boxing on an iPad tablet thing. It's of its time, but also kind of doesn't fit the Rocky series to me. So he's in a Spartan flat that he's got in, I don't know, is it Philadelphia or is it LA? Because he was at his dad's training ring and that was in LA. But maybe he's in Philadelphia at this point. Anyway, like he's trying to sleep and there's loud music coming from downstairs at his neighbour's house, and he goes down and goes to bash on the door to tell them to shut up. It turns out to be a hot girl, so he says, "I'm Donnie," but he means fuck that music. The hot girl is kind of a bit of a super bitch to him to begin with. I kind of wish they cast someone with more of a resemblance to Carl Weathers as Apollo's son.
There is a resemblance. No.
So he kind of tracks down Rocky.
My name is Rocky Balboa.
And at Adrian's restaurant tries to persuade him to train him. Yeah, so he's in Philadelphia. What am I talking about? That's how he tracked down Rocky. And he's like, "Give me some drills," and Rocky gives in. And I was like, I hope the first thing he does is get him to catch a chicken. And he does.
This is old school. You should be able to grab one of these birds. I thought you were fast.
There's another little detail that is of its time. It's a bit rubbish that it's the present day. I more enjoy the kind of retro stuff. But Adonis, he says to Rocky, "Give me some drills. Give me some, ideas for stuff I can do to get fit," from Rocky. And Rocky writes them all down on a piece of paper. Adonis types all this stuff into his smartphone and leaves the paper with Rocky. And Rocky's like, "Here, you forgot your drills. You need this." And he's like, "No, it's on the cloud." Rocky's like, "What cloud?" Adonis's chat-up line is, "Can I roll with you?" They bring back the graveyard sequence from the last film, and but this time it's not just Adrian's grave, it's also Paulie's grave.
I didn't forget you. Your favorite. Miss you, pal. Hey, Adrian, God. It's getting harder to walk up this hill. What does that mean?
And I like that there are tons of old locations in this film. This film's slightly better than the last film was, but all of these pale in comparison to Rocky 3 still. I'm pretty sure that was the best one, to be honest. Rocky's getting Adonis to catch all the chickens, and he's like, "Just go get that chicken. It's not that big a deal." One of the training routines that Rocky shows him is to, fight himself in a mirror.
All right, Donnie, get into your stance. Make a small target, turn sideways. Okay. You see this guy here staring back at you?
Yeah?
That's your toughest opponent. Every time you get into the ring, that's who you're going against. Now, every time you punch this guy, what's he doing?
He's throwing one back at me.
That's right. So either you block it, slip it, or get out of the way. So.
And I thought that's kind of a good training idea, because the opponent's going to be fiercely glaring at you while you're throwing punches and making eye contact the whole time. It's going to be like this steely, menacing. I mean, if you imagine when you're boxing, the other guy's going to be looking directly at you. So why not kind of train in a mirror so you're kind of prepared for that? Turns out for a black dude, Adonis is terrible at rapping. He goes into this terrible rap with his new girlfriend and goes like, "I won the title. I'll settle for a cheesecake." So he goes to move in with Rocky for some reason for the training. It seems kind of odd. Do boxers do that? Do they live in with their trainers as flatmates? It seems quite a long movie. So in the middle of the movie there's one boxing match, which is like a tryout boxing match. It's not the end game against the Liverpudlian guy, but Rocky's there and he's trained Adonis up halfway, and I like the cinematography in this fight because the camera really, it's not like the last boxing match from Rocky Balboa, Rocky 6, where it's got this gloss and it's kind of like a TV program boxing match. In this one, the camera's really in the action. It's sometimes between them, the camera's the one getting punched.
Come get this shit. Come get it.
And then it goes separate. the side of them, so they're punching each other. So that they're doing a bit of acting here, where they're punching each other for a while, and then they're like punching the cameraman. So it's like, it puts you in the fight a bit more. Midway through the movie there's a running kind of plot line where they're trying to stop the public knowing that Adonis Johnson is actually Apollo Creed's son. But they're in the boxing match, and Rocky pretty much gives the game away himself, I think.
Someone come up with a shovel hook. You're gonna see an opening, put it right on his chin, then I'll drop him. Your old man did that to me. It worked.
Quite loud, so that people just off to one side of him could probably hear it. Your old man did that one to me. It worked. Not doing a very good job of concealing his identity. For some reason, there's a clip of James Bond's Skyfall in this movie. Rocky and Adonis are living together, and then he invites his girlfriend to the house where they're living. They almost put like a sex scene in the movie at that point, and I just wanted Rocky to come downstairs and go, "What'd I say about you getting naked in my house?" At one point his girlfriend gets really angry with him, and like, I don't know if she threatens to leave, but it seems kind of like she wants to break up with him, because she's unreasonably angry with him for not telling her that his dad, that he never met, is famous. At one point you can see she's got a tattoo on her wrist that just appears to say, yes. So Rocky gets in the ring and tries like sparring with pads and things, but then he's suddenly kind of puking and fainting, and then they kind of introduce the fact that Rocky's got cancer.
I'm not doing no chemotherapy.
You're gonna end up dying.
I know.
And you're all right with that?
I am. You got your whole future ahead of you. Mine? Back there, like all them guys on that wall. In the back. In the past. I am to you just an old trainer. That's what brought us together, you know?
At first he's like, I'm not gonna take any preventative measures, I'm not gonna take any chemotherapy to try and stop the cancer. But then Adonis says, look, if I'm gonna do this fight and you're gonna be my trainer, then you've got to fight too, which I thought was pretty cool. And so he agrees to do it, and so Rocky's in the hospital and Adonis visits him, and they turn the hospital for a short moment into a kind of training arena. He's like, give me like 20 press-ups right now in this small cramped hospital room. Like, yeah, do it. And I thought they were going to have a much bigger sequence where he just uses kind of the hospital as his training arena, because he sort of becomes like Rocky's carer from the point on that he discovers he's got cancer. Back in Philadelphia, Adonis makes friends with the local young biker gang, which sort of mirrors the street corner choir, don't know if you can call them a choir, the street corner singers from Rocky 1 and 2. Rocky makes friends with them as the kind of impoverished local community, and Adonis makes friends with the local biker gangs. They give Adonis Apollo's kind of American flag blue shorts again, and a kind of weird silk hoodie.
You've never been this far away from home, and that don't matter. What matters is what you leave in that ring, and what you take back with you. You know what that is? Pride. And knowing that you did your best, and you're doing it for yourself. Not for me, not your father's memory, but for you.
Right ahead. Let's go.
Yeah.
Come on, man. There you go. Go top.
All right, guys. It's time. Let's go, guys.
And then the last fight begins between him and the Scouser guy from Liverpool. And for some reason, Adonis gets a relatively modest entrance to the ring, but the Scouser guy gets like this kind of weird wrap opening and loads of kind of a fire breather and loads of smoke, like this really kind of theatrical entrance. And it looks like it's something out of Blade 2. Now, apparently this fight was meant to be happening in Liverpool in England, but I never saw them fly there. They didn't... They just kind of dropped that bombshell really casually, quite quietly, after they'd arrived in the ring. There's a neat ringside pep talk from Rocky here, which is like, this fight is you against you. He's just in the way.
Every time you want to say it's the beginning and the end, the other guy comes through with a shot you can't believe.
Back in Apollo's mansion in America, his wife, who took Adonis in but didn't quite approve with him going back to boxing, is watching the boxing match on TV. She's really getting into the fight, and at one point she's like, "That's what I'm talking about."
Into the fight.
After the fight, I like that Rocky and Adonis climbed the Philadelphia steps together. Except this last time, it almost looks like Rocky's not going to even make it to reach the top.
Got this. Come on, young man.
Just let me catch my breath.
Come on, no breaks. We rest at the top.
I think they added a few more stuff. I don't know.
Almost there.
I'm gonna take these last two.
Almost there. How you feeling?
Good. Really good. You know, if you look hard enough, you can see your whole life from up here.
Like, he's got cancer and he was like losing all his hair, and you don't actually know. It's kind of left as an open question whether he does or doesn't survive the cancer, because he's still kind of got it by the end of the movie. They don't say that he got over it, they just kind of leave it as an open thing. Did Rocky survive? Who knows? But he made it up the Philadelphia steps one last time.
You're gonna kill him!
No.
Yeah!
Rocky Balboa.